Global leather production is a fascinating industry. There are so many ways that different countries relate to who, generates the hides versus who processes them versus who creates the leather goods, all the way to who purchases them. So it's a really integrated system. So I thought it'll be fun to take a look at some statistics behind the leather production by volume across the globe and get some insights into what's happening where that's part of our craft. First up, we have the commercial end uses for leather. And these are going to be things like, shoes or clothing, things like that. So let's dive right into that. First up, that comprises 47% of global leather use goes into shoes and footwear. That's a lot. Next up with 17% is automobile upholstery. Interesting. At 10%, we have furniture upholstery. Also at 10%, we have clothing. 4% are gloves. And then all the rest are around 12%. So really interesting. Shoes and footwear make up about half of the leather used around the world. Fascinating. Let's look at the top leather producers. So looking at overall leather production per year, China produces around 25% of the world's leather. Number 2 is Brazil at around 10%. Number 3 is Russia at around 7%. Number 4 is India at around 6.5%. And number 5 is Italy at around 6.5%. Interesting. So we saw just a bit ago how popular shoes and footwear are. So let's look at exactly who's producing some of those shoes that comprise half the leather in the world. So the first producer of shoes, the number 1, at around 40% is China. At around 7%, number 2 is Italy. At around 6.5%, number 3 is Mexico. And at around 4% is India. And also around 4% is Brazil. So that's who produces the shoes. So now let's take a look at where those shoes are going and who are the biggest importers of those shoes. Number 1 on the import list at around 27% is the United States. At around 7.5%, at number 2 is Germany. And also around 7.5% is China. And then around 7% is the United Kingdom. And at around 6% is Italy. So it's really interesting in that China's exporting a lot of shoes and the United States is importing a lot of shoes, as well as Germany. And it's also interesting that while Italy produces a lot of shoes, they're also among the top 5 of importers of shoes. And the same thing for China. So they seem to be doing both ways in terms of the supply chain. So there you have it, a brief look into the flow of goods around the world and what comprises them on a percent basis. And I was surprised to see that about half is shoes and footwear. And then when we combine automobile upholstery and furniture upholstery, that's going to be about 27%. So it's pretty eye-opening that, around 75% of all leather in the world is used for footwear and upholstery. So to learning, there's some numbers. And if you have any questions, let us know. If you've got insights into the industry and would like to share, definitely would love to hear them. And there we have it. Until next time.